They say Highway 61 was paved with more than just asphalt. It was paved with souls. Every crumbling cross and sun-bleached teddy bear is a headstone for a story that refuses to stay buried. We're unearthing the spectral remnants of these vanishing roadside shrines to ask, when the flowers rot and the names fade, who is left to hear the screams of the past? Never look too closely at the shoulder of the road after midnight. On Highway 61, the memorials aren't just tributes, they're anchors. From bleeding wooden crosses to phantom hitchhikers standing guard over their own ruins, we're investigating the unsettling truth behind the roadside shrines that are disappearing from our maps, but not from our nightmares. The legendary Highway 61 is famous for the blues, but the saddest songs aren't played on guitars. They're whispered by the wind through rotting lace and rusted iron. Each weathered bouquet marks a profound, untold narrative of a life snatched away. Join us as we trace the fading echoes of these roadside phantoms before the asphalt swallows their stories forever. A child's shoe on the yellow line, a photo pinned to a tree with a rusted nail, a ceramic angel weeping black rain. Highway 61 is a 1,000-mile graveyard without a fence. We're going beyond the surface of these crumbling monuments to reveal the poignant, often terrifying secrets of the shrines that vanish into the southern fog. Are you ready to see what's really watching you from the ditch? Why do some roadside memorials seem to glow with a cold, unnatural light? And why do the people who leave them often vanish themselves? We are tracing the phantom echoes of Highway 61, investigating the unsettling occurrences and spectral remnants left behind at the sites of tragedy. This isn't just a road trip, it's an excavation of the afterlife. Highway 61 isn't just a road, it's a collection of unfinished business. Each roadside cross is a portal to a moment frozen in terror. We're unearthing the untold stories of the shrines the world forgot, but the highway remembers. Don't blink, or you might become the next echo. In the humid dark of the Delta, the weeds grow thick over the places where blood hit the pavement. These vanishing shrines are the only things keeping the ghosts of Highway 61 at bay. We're tracing the fading remnants of these roadside altars to discover the heavy, heartbreaking truth of what happens when a life is cut short, but the spirit refuses to move on. The journey doesn't begin on the map, it begins in the gut, a cold knot that tightens as you cross the invisible border where the streetlights fail. Highway 61 is more than a river of cracked asphalt. It is a jagged vein cut into the belly of the South, pulsing with the residual energy of those who were stolen by the speed and the steel. Here, the sky isn't just dark, it's a bruised, sickly purple, a color that feels like a physical weight pressing down on your shoulders. The fog doesn't drift, it creeps, thick and sentient, white fingers searching for the warmth of a living engine. Notice the signs, the rusted metal of the Highway 61 markers. They are peppered with bullet holes, not from target practice, but from people trying to kill the road itself. And look at the hands, phantom prints smeared in the mud of the signs, as if someone tried to claw their way back into our world from the other side. You aren't just driving on pavement anymore, you are traversing a graveyard that refuses to stay buried. Every few miles, the tall, dead grass parts to reveal a sentinel, a wooden cross leaning at an impossible angle, wrapped in rotting lace that shivers even when there is no wind. These aren't just memorials, they are anchors. They are physical weights placed upon the earth to keep a spirit from drifting too far from the place where its story ended. Look at the plastic flowers, those sun-bleached carnations and lilies. Their colors are unnaturally bright, a garish neon contrast to the gray, thirsty soil, as if they are feeding on something subterranean. And the photographs, they are the worst part. Weathered faces of smiling men and laughing women, pinned to trees with rusted nails that look like dried blood. As you pass, you'll swear their eyes track your movement, checking to see if you are the one who will finally stop and listen to the scream they've been holding since the impact. The road leaves behind a trail of breadcrumbs for the damned, a single child's shoe sitting perfectly upright on the yellow line, as if the wearer simply stepped out of their body and kept walking into the mist. Shattered glass from a windshield doesn't just sparkle here. It reflects 100 different faces, none of them yours. You'll see teddy bears with missing heads, their stuffing spilling out like entrails, soaked in a rain that never seems to dry. These objects are charged with the static electricity of grief. A rusted hubcap in a ditch becomes a scrying pool, reflecting a red sky and a shadow that stands right behind you, though you are alone in the car. The wood of the memorial posts doesn't just rot, it bleeds a dark, resinous sap that smells of iron and old pennies. When the lightning flashes, it doesn't just illuminate the road, it reveals the audience. Hundreds of figures, standing perfectly still in the fields, watching the asphalt like they're waiting for a bus that will never arrive. As you drive deeper, the laws of nature begin to fray at the edges. You'll find old pocket watches left on stone altars, their glass cracked, their hands spinning backward with a frantic, rhythmic ticking that matches your heartbeat. The wind doesn't whistle, it whispers names you think you recognize. Look at the car wrecks that manifest in the fog. Blue, glowing skeletal remains of vehicles that haven't been manufactured in 50 years, still burning with a cold, spectral fire. The very air is thick with the visual distortion of ghosts, swirling like oil on water. You might see a hitchhiker, a woman in a tattered dress, or a man with a guitar, standing by a crumbling shrine. Their bodies are translucent, the moon shining through their ribs. They don't want to ride to the next town. They want to ride back to the moment before the brakes failed. There is a specific kind of horror in the way the land reclaims these sites. Vines wrap around stone markers like skeletal fingers, slowly crushing the dates of birth and death until the identity of the lost is erased forever. A tattered American flag, caught in barbed wire, flaps with a violent snapping sound, yet the trees around it are perfectly still. You'll find jars filled with dead fireflies, their tiny bodies glowing with a sickly green light that shouldn't be possible. The highway lines themselves start to change, shifting from paint to glowing spectral chains that seem to bind the road to the earth. Everything is an omen. A white deer with glowing red eyes stands guard over a weathered shrine, its antlers draped in funeral ribbons like a crown of thorns. The telephone poles cast shadows that stretch for miles, looking like a row of crucifixes waiting for their occupants. Lower your window and you'll hear the phantom echoes. It's not just the sound of the tires, it's a blues riff played on a guitar with snapped strings, a melody that feels like it's being pulled out of the air by the tall weeds. The laughter of a ghostly child echoes through the fog, but it's distorted, slowed down into a low-frequency hum that makes your teeth ache. A phantom radio tower pulses in the distance, its red light synchronized to the gasping breaths of someone who can't quite leave this world. You'll pass an abandoned gas station where the windows are shattered into the shapes of screaming mouths, and the spirits inside are watching the road, counting the cars, waiting for a specific license plate that hasn't been seen since the 50s. The silence here is heavy, a vacuum that sucks the air out of your lungs. The religious iconography along Highway 61 has curdled under the weight of so much sorrow. You'll see ceramic Mary statues on dashboards and roadside altars whose eyes move independently, tracking the shadows that dance in the storm drains. A rosary wrapped around an antenna doesn't offer protection. Its beads have turned into tiny, lidless eyes that blink in the moonlight. Even the Bible left open on a stone isn't a comfort. The pages flip violently in a phantom breeze, and the words literally vanish as you try to read them, as if the road is erasing the possibility of salvation. A circle of salt around a small cross doesn't keep the evil out. The salt turns black, absorbing a darkness so dense it feels like a physical stain on the landscape. The angels here have cracked faces and weep black liquid, their wings looking more like the leathery skin of bats. Now you reach the crossroads, the legendary intersection where the devil supposedly waits for the desperate. But the devil isn't a man in a suit. The devil is the road itself. At midnight, the shadows of the crossing roads meet and form a dark, swirling knot that seems to pull the light out of your headlamps. A phantom billboard changes its message every second, flashing dates of accidents that haven't happened yet. Your name might be next. You'll see a trail of wet footprints leading from the shoulder into an impenetrable swamp. But they aren't human. They are too long, too wide, and they glow with a pale necrotic swamp gas. The reflection in your rearview mirror shows the road being swallowed by a giant, shadowy mouth, closing the distance between you and the end of the line. The environment is now in full revolt. A field of sunflowers next to the highway all turn their heads away from the sun, facing a single rotting cross in unison. The asphalt reveals a glowing red abyss beneath the cracks, smelling of sulfur and burnt rubber. You'll encounter a ghostly state trooper whose face is a void of absolute darkness beneath his wide-brimmed hat, his patrol car a silent, flickering wraith of light. Offerings left at the shrines have transformed. Grapes have shriveled into tiny, screaming skulls. Honey jars are filled with ghostly, trapped bees humming a funeral dirge. The highway lines are no longer yellow. They are a sickly, pulsing white, like the belly of a dead fish, leading you deeper into a wall of solid black fog where the world simply ends. As you reach the final stretch, the road begins to dissolve. A phantom bridge appears, constructed of shadows and sighs, leading into a forest where the trees are made of bone. A ghostly figure is painting a new white line on the road, using a brush made of human hair, marking the path for the next traveler. You realize that the untold stories aren't just about the people who died here. They are about the road that consumed them. The final shrines are made of scrap metal and bone, vibrating with a guttural, mechanical roar. You are no longer a driver, you are a witness. And as the camera zooms into the absolute darkness of 3 a.m., you realize the echoes aren't fading, they are getting louder. They are calling your name. Highway 61 doesn't lead to a destination, it leads to an eternal vanishing point. Don't look at the mirror, don't look at the shrines, just keep driving until there's nothing left.